Hi, Saleka. So I wanted to tell you I'm a big Shyamalan family fan. So
Oh,
congratulations. I'm so happy to be talking with you.
thank
And
you. I love that.
so I have to ask you, how has the anticipation been? Your feature debut, kind of acting, but doing what you really do as a music artist.
I mean, it's been a surreal experience. I'm so grateful to be a part of this incredible project, and I had the time of my life writing this album. It was so much fun, and I got to kind of do what my passion is and kind of storytell through songwriting and do it through other characters. So it kind of freed me up in a way that was really exciting, and I got to incorporate all the elements of music that I love, and jazz and R&B and Indian influences and things like that. So it was a dream come true.
Honestly, Salika to me is a world-class artist. And she's about to be 28 years old. This is a woman who has spent her entire life studying the craft of music and producing. And so she just inspires me. She inspires everybody that comes across her. And this was like, for me, two artists making a project together. And she really made me a better filmmaker. And, I was introducing her to this new aspect of storytelling, meaning the acting part of it. But it was very similar to our relationship. And she's a very pure human being. So just like when I direct kind of a novice who hasn't acted before, a child or something, I pick the child who's connected to themselves, who doesn't have affectation. So I can just tell about the character, and then they kind of exist in that world. That way, Salika was that, because I got to work with her as the world-class artist in terms of the music and how the music was presented in the movie, and then kind of introduce her to this art form which she was particularly adept at.
I just wanted to ask you about this because this was so cool. Because I popped in the trailer for the first time yesterday because I always stay away from stuff for the longest time. What I thought was awesome was an M. Night Shyamalan experience, not an M. Night Shyamalan production or film. So I was just wondering, it's just like when either you came up with the idea or the studio to say, listen, this is what this is. It's not just a film, it's an experience.
Yeah, it was a little mixture of Warner Brothers and I talking about the fact that, my aspiration is to have a relationship like a literary author has with their audience, which is, like when we pick up one of our favorite authors, we're so interested in their point of view and we want to hear what their next story is. And in movie making, because it's so complex, whereas an author can write a book and then put it in a bookstore, there's so many steps and it takes so many years, and it's so lucky to have this long a relationship with the audience. So we were talking about how we can kind of connect it and say, hey, this is the next story, but it's the relationship that we want most of all, and to acknowledge. And then in this particular case, because it's a music experience, it's a fusion of a kind of a movie and a concert. That kind of uniqueness of that is what we want to underline, but with that verbiage.
I think the experience, language that they're using is kind of to describe that my dad is doing something different and it's not like his other movies, in a way that there's two experiences. One is the film experience, and then the other is this immersive music experience where you are experiencing a concert live, and it's diegetically part of the plot, and the characters are, part of this as well.
I read that, the Lady Raven name, I was just trying to figure out, was that your idea or was it your dad's? Because, I also kind of had this weird thing about, well, like they always say M. Night Shyamalan is Hitchcockian. Then you kind of add in, maybe a little Edgar Allan Poe. So, Lady Raven, I was wondering, where did the name come from?
Well, my dad came up with that name, but he came up with a list of names, and he kind of was like, which one do you feel most connected to? And I really loved the name Lady Raven. Raven is sort of a symbol in our family of something that's, dark and kind of haunting, but also beautiful and powerful. And so I think it's become this symbol for us. And, the Blinding Edge logo has a kind of raven flying onto this woman. And so it's kind of there throughout, symbols in our family.
She was very drawn to that one. That was one of my favorites. So I was like, ooh, how about let's do that? And so, Raven, I think, for us, we kind of used it as a kind of inspiration point for who this lady was and what does her music mean to everyone. And, the kind of, something to be like an omen, something to be feared, but it can fly, and all these things we talked about with regard to her relationship in this fictional world.
So all the stuff that you've done then, do you find, I mean, you're always trying to evolve as a filmmaker and everything as well too, and challenge yourself. But do you find that maybe this one was one of the most challenging to do because it wasn't just filmmaking, but because you're also trying to do the music piece of it?
Well, I do think it was one of the most challenging movies that we've had, that I've done, but it was in a good way. Sometimes it's challenging in a kind of damage control way. Like if we shooting on a beach and on Old, you're literally dealing with weather and tides, and that's just a headache. It's not necessarily going to the cinema. You're just the practical issues of trying to shoot on a beach every single day is very, very hard. In this case, the challenges were beautiful, and they were building. Like, we're making a real concert. We're not doing this with CGI. We're not doing it later. The audience is really reacting. The thriller's going on at the same time. This is a Herculean task to have Josh do dialogue while a concert is going on, a real concert is going on. And so all the work of making a concert before we shot the first frame.